They are also compliant with the European Code of Conduct. I'm not sure if that's relevant here in Australia, but at least we can meet these targets. Okay, how much time do I have?
10 minutes.
10 minutes. So let's talk a bit about Access evolution. This was about sustainability from a technology point of view. I just want to outline a bit how we see the evolution of Access and why you should not be worried about it. So basically Access is developing in 4 dimensions. One of them is service support. We know that we have to support more services on top of the Access equipment. So this means, for example, mobile backhaul for LTE, for example, that's clearly one of them. Better voice support, more business access support, for example. So this is the service aspect. The second one is capacity, reach, and stability. We need to go to high capacity, we need to go further, we need to go longer, and we need to be more stable. Stable is not so much a problem for fiber, but for DSL, it's more of an issue. And here we have the Alcatel-Lucent Smart DSL solution, which stabilizes DSL lines at 30% higher bit rate than previously. But I will talk a bit about how to move to 10 gig PON in the next time. For DSL, we're working with concepts like bonding and vectoring in order to increase the speed and the reach. It's about operational excellence, more automation, better fault isolation, fault location on automated operations. This is certainly one of the things that will bring down your OpEx, and we talked about eco-efficiency already. So let's look upon the capacity, reach, and stability part. 10 gig PON is coming, and it's being standardized by both EFSON, as you may know, which is the standard body or it's not strictly speaking standard body, but these are ones providing ITU with standards for the GPON standard, and by IEEE. And basically, the evolution goes in 2 directions. On the y-axis, you see to higher capacity, towards 10 gig. And on the x-axis, you find that we also go further and we split more. So let's take them one by one. GPON today is based on B+ optics. The next step will go to C+ optics. C+ optics gives you 4 dB link budget more. So what does that help you? Well, it can take you a bit further, or you can split more, or a combination of the 2. The good news about C+ optics is that you don't have to change anything in the outside plant, and even better, you don't have to change the ONTs. Because C+ optics comes with more power in the outgoing signal, but also better receiver sensitivity. So this means that the ONT themselves can stay the same. So the good news is that you can go further without changing anything in the outside plant, and you can keep it completely passive. If you want to go very long, even further, up to 60 kilometers, then you need a repeater. And such technology exists, and we have demoed it. It's actually not that difficult. It's just that suddenly you have some active elements out in the field. And that's more of a tactical business decision. Do you really want to have active repeaters in the field? But that can be done. That's about reach and split. In the y-axis, we're looking to go to 10 gig. And 10 gig, I want to show you this. This is basically what we think EFSON, well, we know we're working with EFSON, but this is the most likely scenario that 10 gig will look like. 10 gig PON will have 10 gig in the downstream and 2.5 gig in the upstream. And it will be separated in a wavelength domain. So as you can see, the GPON standard and the 10 gig GPON standard can coexist on the same fiber using the same optical distribution network, and they will not interfere. So this means what you deploy today with GPON can be reused for the next generation. But even better, you can migrate those customers who want 10 gig PON and are willing to pay for it, because they can coexist. So you don't have to force migrate anyone. You just plug in 10 gig PON, and they will coexist over different wavelengths. And since we have wavelength blocking filters in the ONTs, both on the GPON and the 10 gig PON standard, they can coexist without interference. So you introduce 10 gig PON, and then you say who will like it, and then they have to pay for it. And initially that could be business customers maybe, or some mobile backhaul, or FTTB backhauling. And as time goes by, you can migrate people. So messages, 10 gig PON will be completely backwards compatible with the existing GPON standard, and there's no reason to hesitate to build a GPON network today, because it will also be applicable for the next generation. So, as I know time is running out, I just want to mention that we're working also with a lot about optical monitoring. in 2 dimensions with RSSI, which already exists in our products, which basically measures the things like temperature, bias, and voltage on the OT and OT side to early indicate failures. And we're also looking at something called optical time domain reflectometry, OTDR. And we're looking specifically on something called embedded OTDR, where we can have it using existing lasers. This is also a way to actually find the problem in the optical distribution network and isolate it and really identify where it is. Since time we're running out, I'm not going to the details, but if someone is particularly interested in this, I'm happy to discuss it after this discussion. And the third dimension is, of course, the importance of mobile backhaul, specifically for the LTE standard, because LTE, as you probably know, is the successor of the UMTS standard, will require something like 100 megabits backhauling per base station. So fiber to the base station will be a necessity. And the GPON standard is very well adopted for providing this capacity. So it's very interesting to do with LTE backhauling over GPON or VDSL2, for example. And such schemes exist already today. But there is not a conflict between next generation wireless and wireline. They need each other. Fiber to the base station will be a necessity. So with that, I will try to wrap up. I tried to answer 4 questions here today. Who is deploying fiber? And you saw the scheme, but remember that 14% are already on FTTX. So it is a reality. And the 2 winning concepts is the PON technology for FTTH and VDSL2. Why should you do it? Well, we saw that FTTH users are much more happy. There's a lot of user satisfaction. And we will need more than 20 megabits quite soon. So there is a reason to go into that, about 20% compound annual growth rate. How? You use the concept of eco-efficiency. Bring down the power. It saves you money and it saves the environment. There's no reason to hesitate. And the next generation access, the important point was it is backwards compatible. So when time comes and you need it, it will be there. But there's no reason to hesitate to invest today. I think I'll stop there. Thanks a lot for your attention.